Hello, Airhogs fans, and welcome back to another edition of Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. We're live on Ustream. I'm Andy Humphrey, and we're here in Kansas City, Kansas at Community America Ballpark. The second of this three-game set between the Grand Prairie Airhogs and the Kansas City T-Bones. Last night, the Airhogs jumped out on offense early, and that led them to a 10-7 victory over Kansas City last night. 10 runs on 16 hits for the Airhogs offense in the opener of this series. Getting the win and moving to 4-5 on the year was Ryan Searle. Dakota Watts earned save number 14 last night, and the losing pitcher was Kyle DeVore, moving to 3-3 this year with Kansas City. Tonight, the T-Bones will start out their right-handed starter Andy Noga on the mound. Noga on the season, a record of 1-3, an ERA of 4.02. This will be his 12th start of the year. He also has 3 relief appearances. He's also gone 1 complete game this season with the T-Bones, a 24-year-old rookie who played last season for the Sioux City Explorers. And Noga played his college ball at East Stroudsburg State. So he's on the mound for the T-Bones tonight, and this is the lineup that he will face from the Grand Prairie Airhogs under manager Eric Champion. Leading it off, as always, Jimmy Mojica, the shortstop. Then batting second, Alex Nunez at second base. Batting third, Abel Nieves at third base. Then the cleanup hitter, Jason Botts, in the DH slot. Batting fifth, Brian Myro, the left fielder. Batting sixth, Brian Peterson, the catcher. Batting seventh, Frazier Hall at first base. Batting eighth, Rod Rodriguez in right field. And then batting ninth, Madison Carter, playing in center field. So we'll get things started here with Jimmy Mojica, who is a former Kansas City T-Bone. He has played on 7 different teams in the American Association in his career. First pitch is taken for strike 1 on the inside corner. Mojica showing bunt there. Official start time for tonight's game, 7:09 p.m. It's around 93 degrees here in Kansas City, and the heat index brings the feels-like temperature over 100. As that is ball 1 outside to Jimmy Mojica. We've got sunny skies today. We might get some rain tomorrow, however. There is a chance of rain in the forecast. That's ball 2 inside to Jimmy Mojica with Alex Nunez on deck. Last night, Mojica went 2 for 5, scoring a couple of runs. Here's the 2-1 from Noga. This is popped foul and into the foul screen, and it's also going to bounce off of the screen into the T-Bones dugout on the first base side, and the count moves even into 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jimmy Mojica, the 30-year-old veteran. The windup in the 2-2 pitch from Andy Noga is on the way. This is driven high into right field. Going to bounce in front of Ray Sadler. A loop single into right to start things off for Jimmy Mojica. He led off the last game with a single as well. The Airhogs with 5 consecutive singles in the first, leading to a 5-run first inning. Then the T-Bones came right back in the bottom half of the first with 4 runs of their own. Then no scoring until the 6th when the Airhogs put up 4 more to retake a 5-run lead. And then they were able to keep the lead throughout, on the way to a 10-7 victory last night over Kansas City. They are 3-1 this year against the T-Bones now. The next batter is Alex Nunez, the left-handed batter. Here's the first pitch to him, bounced on the ground but foul down the first base line. Strike 1 to Nunez. Last night, a good night for him, 3 for 5, scoring 3 runs. Nunez from Venezuela. He is 33 years old. And earlier this year started out with the Sugarland Skeeters in his first season back after announcing his retirement in 2012. Andy Noga with the 0-1 pitch, runner going, a swing and a miss. The tag is in time to nab the runner, Jimmy Mojica. Vladimir Frias at shortstop is the one there to make the out on Mojica, trying to steal second base. 4th time this season that he has been caught stealing, and Brian Erie, the catcher, will get credit for that nabbed runner at second base, out number 1, and no balls and 2 strikes to Alex Nunez. Wind up in the 0-2 from Noga. Hit high in the air to right center field. Robbie Coosdale is calling for it from center, and he will make the grab for out number 2. Here's your defensive lineup for the Kansas City T-Bones. At first base is Nick Schwanner. At second base, Danny Rechar. At shortstop, Vladimir Frias. At third base, TJ Middlestad. In left field, Brian Sabatella. In center field, Robbie Coosdale. In right field, Ray Sadler. The catcher is Brian Erie. So 2 outs and nobody on for Abel Nieves, the third baseman. Nieves last night 2 for 4, an RBI and a run scored. That's called strike 1 on the inside edge. Nieves representing the Air Hogs on the South American Association All-Star team. He takes a pitch low and inside, now an even count at 1-1. Nieves, 28 years old. Last season with the Wichita Wingnuts, he won the batting title with a .357 batting average. Righty versus righty, the 1-1 is on the way. It's right down the middle for a called strike 2. Your umpire crew tonight: at home plate, Anthony Sheets; at first base, Trent Delmont; and at third base, Joe Pascucci. 2 outs and nobody on. The 1-2 to Nieves. Swung on and missed. And the inning is over here in the first for the Air Hogs. No runs, a hit, nobody left on base. And the T-Bones will have their first chance to bat when we come back to the bottom of the first. You're listening to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Bottom of the first inning and still no score. Air Hogs starter tonight is right-hander TJ Bozeman, making his second start with the Air Hogs this year. He has also been in the bullpen as well since joining the team last month. Bozeman this season, an ERA of 12.38, only pitched a total of 8 innings in 6 appearances for the Air Hogs this year and given up 11 runs. His first start again with the Air Hogs was not a desirable one by any means. Only went 3 innings against the Laredo Lemurs on June 29th. 9 runs given up on 8 hits. That included 7 runs given up in the first inning. 3 strikeouts and 5 walks for the 24-year-old right-hander. He started out this season with the Lincoln Salt Dogs. The last couple of years he spent time with the Fort Worth Cats to start out his professional career. So he is on the mound tonight for the Air Hogs, making his second start with the team this year. And this is the lineup he will face from the Kansas City T-Bones under manager John Mazzarelli. Leading it off is the third baseman TJ Middlestad. Then batting second, David Espinosa, the designated hitter. Batting third will be Danny Rechar, the second baseman. Batting cleanup will be Ray Sadler in right field. Batting fifth, Brian Sabatella in left field. Then batting in the sixth hole, Vladimir Frias at shortstop. Batting seventh, Nick Schwanner at first base. Then the catcher, Brian Erie, will bat eighth. And then batting ninth, Robbie Coosdale in center field. TJ Middlestad will lead it off. Middlestad is second in the American Association with an on-base percentage of .447. Last night, Middlestad went 2 for 5 with a leadoff home run in the first inning. Left-handed batter against the right-handed starter TJ Bozeman. Wind up and the first pitch is on the way. It is taken inside for ball 1. TJ Middlestad this season a batting average of .278, 9 home runs, and 31 runs driven in. That's inside as well, and it's now a 2-0 count to Middlestad. Last season played for Brevard County and Huntsville in the Atlanta Braves minor league system. From Mission Viejo, California, he is 26 years old. 2-0 pitch is on the way from Bozeman. Called strike one, outside corner worked there. David Espinosa is on deck for the T-Bones. Here is the windup in the 2-1 pitch from Bozeman. A little low this time, and now the count moves to 3 balls and 1 strike. Middlestad technically leads all T-Bones players in home runs this season if you discount Ray Sadler, who in total has 12, but 10 of those are with. Those came when he was with the Winnipeg Gold Eyes. That's called strike 2, and now the count is full against TJ Middlestad, the third baseman. Listed as a utility player for Kansas City. He also can play in right field. He's also spent some time at second base. That is hit well into right field, and it's going to bounce on the warning track on the right field side. Ride Rodriguez into the corner to field it. It's going to be a leadoff double for TJ Middlestad. So Middlestad, with his 13th double of the year, puts himself in scoring position early on in this one for the former Grand Prairie Airhog and All-Star selection, David Espinosa. Here's your defensive lineup for the Grand Prairie Airhogs. At first base, Frazier Hall. At second base, Alex Nunez. At shortstop, Jimmy Mojica. At third base, Abel Nieves. In left field is Brian Myro. In center field, Madison Carter. And in right field, Ride Rodriguez. Catcher is Brian Peterson. Bunt laid down by Espinosa down the third base line. Nieves is going to let it roll foul. If he had tried to field that, it would have been a base hit for Espinosa. So a savvy play there by the third baseman, Nieves, to let that one roll into foul territory. Espinosa got a lot of speed to him. So that's strike one to David Espinosa, who last night went 1 for 4 with a run scored. Against the Airhogs this season, he is batting .111, 2 for 18 in his at-bats. That does include a triple that he had back on July 10th. And he ended up scoring the winning run in the 10th inning to give the T-Bones the win there in the series finale. A runner at second base and nobody out. A 1-strike count against David Espinosa. Lefty against righty. Here is the 0-1 pitch. Shown bunt again, but it's inside. And Espinosa pulls back for ball one. Espinosa was with the Airhogs between 2010 and 2012. Posted the 4th best batting average in Airhogs history in 2010. That was .351. Bunt shown again. This is down the third base line, and it's foul once again. And now it's a ball and 2 strikes against Espinosa. Danny Rechar is on deck for the T-Bones. Still a runner at second base, and nobody out here in the bottom of the first inning. Still no score between the Airhogs and the T-Bones. Both teams got out to hot starts in last night's game in the first inning. Airhogs with 5 runs, T-Bones with 4. Bozeman set from the stretch at the letters. The 1-2 pitch is now on the way. This is driven into left center field. Madison Carter leaps and makes the grab. Full extension there for the rookie in center field, and he makes a fantastic grab out there in left center field on the line drive by Espinosa. And Madison Carter really with his first highlight reel catch of his professional career. Eric Baker, who usually plays in center field for the Airhogs, is known for making catches like that as well. But Madison Carter proving his worth defensively with that great catch in left center for out number 1. Next batter is going to be the second baseman Danny Rechar with 1 out and a runner at second base. Rechar last night went 2 for 5, scoring a couple of runs. This season with the T-Bones, He is batting .251 with 5 home runs and 41 runs driven in. Those 41 RBIs lead the team this year. That's a breaking pitch, missing a little low for Bozeman. Ball 1 to Rechar. Danny Rechar, another veteran on this roster for the Kansas City T-Bones. From Lehigh Acres, Florida. He's 31 years old and also a former big leaguer. Left-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher. It's outside from Bozeman on the fastball. 86 miles per hour there. 2-0 the count against Rechar. TJ Bozeman in his second start, trying to get off to a better start than he did against Laredo on June 29th. As this is popped foul, and it'll go out of play. 2 balls and 1 strike against Danny Rechar. Again, 7 runs given up by TJ Bozeman in the first inning on June 29th against the Laredo Lemurs. That was at Laredo. And he only lasted 3 innings in his first start, giving up a total of 9 runs on 8 hits, including 5 walks allowed. 2 balls and 1 strike to Danny Rechar, with Ray Sadler on deck for Kansas City. Bozeman set from the stretch, looks at second base where Middlestad is leading off. Here's the 2-1. Hit high and deep into right center field. Again, Madison Carter calling for it. He'll make a relatively easier grab there than his first one. Tagging at second and sliding in safely to third will be TJ Middlestad on the fly ball out. So 2 outs and now a runner at third base here in the bottom of the first inning for Kansas City. That'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Ray Sadler. 1 for 4 last night with an RBI and a run scored. Right-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher. The opening run is 90 feet away for the T-Bones. Here with 2 outs in the bottom of the first inning. Bozeman set at the letters. Here's the first pitch. Low in the dirt, blocked by the catcher Peterson, and it's ball 1. Ray Sadler started out this season with the Winnipeg Goldeyes. Had 10 home runs with them before coming back to the T-Bones, where he had spent the last 3 seasons. Swing and a miss there. And the count is even at 1-1. Sadler holds many offensive records in his career with Kansas City, including home runs, RBIs, and total bases. 1-1 is now on the way from Bozeman. Just outside on the 85-mile-per-hour fastball. 2 balls and 1 strike to Ray Sadler. Yet another veteran and former big leaguer on this roster for Kansas City. TJ Middlestad at third base, 2 outs in the bottom of the first. Here's the 2-1. This one's low and outside this time, and now 3 balls and 1 strike with Brian Sabatella on deck for the T-Bones. Airhawks trying to take this series tonight just like they did 2 weeks ago here in Kansas City, winning the first couple of games. The series finale they dropped in 10 innings thanks to a walk-off hit by Danny Rechar, swinging a foul tip into the catcher. And it's now a full count against Ray Sadler. The Airhogs last season went 5-4 against the T-Bones. This year the T-Bones, through 63 games, have gone 30-33 and are 7.5 back of the Gary South Shore Railcats in the Central Division. 3-2 pitch is on the way from Bozeman. This is hit long and deep into left field, and it's going to slash foul into the seats. A well-hit line drive there from Sadler, but just couldn't keep it into the field of play, and it's still a full count. Ray Sadler, the 33-year-old veteran from Clifton, Texas, against the 24-year-old right-hander TJ Bozeman on the mound. The payoff pitch is on the way. This is a fastball lifted foul straight back and over the roof here at Community America Ballpark, who just welcomed their 3 millionth fan all time last night. And they honored him with a very extensive prize pack. including 4 season tickets to T-Bones games for life. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Ray Sadler. A runner at third base and 2 outs. Time is called by Brian Peterson, the catcher, and now he's going to jog out to the mound to talk with TJ Bozeman. Peterson just acquired by the Air Hogs, a 35-year-old veteran catcher, seeing his first action in 2014 with Grand Prairie. Last season, he was in Laredo as well as Somerset in the Frontier League. So a good addition to this Air Hogs roster, and he is certainly going to be needed since Vince DeFazio last night was injured very badly on his right knee after a collision at home plate with T-Bones catcher Brian Erie. DeFazio not expected to come back this series for Grand Prairie, so Peterson's going to be relied on for most of this road trip, it appears. The 3-2 payoff is on the way. Swing and a miss. And Sadler's going to strike out. First strikeout of the night for TJ Bozeman, and it's a big one. No runs, a hit, a man stranded left at third base for the T-Bones. We've played 1, and we're still scoreless here in Kansas City. You're listening to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Still scoreless after 1 inning. We start the second with the leadoff hitter Jason Botts to the plate for Grand Prairie. Good night for Botts last night, 2 for 4, I should say. And a couple of runs batted in as well as a run scored. He takes ball 1 low from Andy Noga, the right-handed starter for Kansas City. Jason Botts now leads the Air Hogs with 44 RBIs this season. Taken for called strike 1 on the outside edge. Now an even count at 1-1 to Jason Botts. He'll be followed by Brian Myro and Brian Peterson in the lineup for the Air Hogs. This is lined into right field for a base hit just past the glove of the first baseman Schwanner, and a leadoff single for Jason Botts in the top of the second. The next batter is left fielder Brian Myro for the Air Hogs. Myro in his first 24 games back from the disabled list, batting .268, a couple of home runs and 13 runs batted in. 2 of those RBIs came last night as he went 2 for 5, driving in a couple on an RBI double. First pitch from Noga, taken for strike 1 on the inside corner. Brian Myro, the oldest member of this Air Hogs roster, 37 years old, a player coach. Served as the hitting coach as he was rehabbing from his injury earlier this season for the Air Hogs. The 0-1 is lifted into foul territory. Is it going to stay in the field of play? No, it's just going to go over the Airhogs dugout on the left side. No balls and 2 strikes to Brian Myro, with Brian Peterson, the catcher, on deck. Myro, left-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher, Andy Noga. A 13-year difference between batter and pitcher. Runner at first base and nobody out in the top of the second for the Airhogs, looking for their second series win against the T-Bones this season. They took 2 out of 3 a couple of weeks ago here in this same ballpark and took the opener of this series last night 10-7. The 0-2 is on the way. Lined into right field again, a base hit. And Brian Myro makes it back-to-back singles for the Airhogs in the second. Now runners at first and second base with nobody out, and Brian Peterson the next batter. Brian Peterson in his 5th game and his 3rd start for the Airhogs this year. He is batting 2 for 9. So far, doesn't have a home run or an RBI with the Airhogs this season. He does have 1 double. A 35-year-old veteran, last season played for the Laredo Lemurs and Somerset in the Atlantic League. A right-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher. Runners at first and second base and nobody out. Andy Noga set on the mound. Here's the first pitch. Low and outside. On a changeup there for ball 1. Brian Peterson subbed in last night for the injured Vince DeFazio, who injured his right knee on a collision at home plate. Swing and a miss on a pitch outside from Noga that Peterson thought best to chase at, but it's strike 1, and now a 1-1 count. Frazier Hall on deck for the Airhogs, who are 26-35 this year. And it's probably best to start thinking about the wild card as their best shot of making the playoffs. They're 17.5 back of the Wichita Wingnuts in the division race. Shown bunt there by Peterson, and he misses for strike 2. Runners at first and second base and nobody out for the Airhogs, looking to break the scoreless tie here in the top of the second inning. Jason Bonts at second, Brian Myro at first. Airhogs jumped out to 5 runs in the first inning last night. Still haven't gotten on the board yet here. Inside on the next pitch from Andy Noga, moving the count even to 2-2. Andy Noga in his last start on Friday against the Winnipeg Goldeyes went 5 innings, giving up 2 runs on 6 hits, a strikeout, and 3 walks. Only 2 runs given up is pretty impressive against a big offensive powerhouse team like the Goldeyes. Swing and a miss on the 2-2 outside. A curveball chased by Brian Peterson, and he strikes out. The second K of the evening for Andy Noga, and it's out number 1 here in the second. That brings up Frazier Hall, who drove in 4 runs last night, including a 3-run double in the first and a solo home run in the 6th. That home run went to straightaway center field. The wall says 396 to straightaway center. Hall takes called strike 1. So a big 400-foot bomb from Frazier Hall last night. Now has 5 home runs this season and 2 in 2 games. Left-handed batter and a right-handed pitcher. Here is the kick in the 1-1, or the 0-1 that is, and now it's 1-1 to count. If that one misses outside, Rod Rodriguez is on deck for Grand Prairie. Frazier Hall this season has now driven in 21 runs on the year. This is hit high and to right center field. Robbie Cousdale waiting a long time for this one to come down, and he will make the grab for out number 2. So 2 quick outs after 2 straight singles for the Air Hogs, and now it brings up the 8-hitter Rod Rodriguez, who has had some trouble in his first few games in a Grand Prairie uniform, only batting 1 for 12 in 3 starts for the Air Hogs this year. Right-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher. The first pitch is on the way from Andy Noga. Swing and a miss, a changeup there. And that was a really off-speed pitch from Noga. Radar gun says 48 miles per hour. The 0-1 is now on the way from Noga. This is hit high in the air to the first baseman, Nick Schwanner, who will make the grab in foul territory. And that is out number 3. No run score on 2 hits. A couple of men left on base by the Air Hogs. We move to the bottom of the second. Still no score here at Community America Ballpark in Kansas City. You're listening to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Back to Community America Ballpark in Kansas City, Kansas. Still scoreless between the Air Hogs and the T-Bones, bottom of the second inning. Hello everyone, I'm Andy Humphrey broadcasting live on Ustream for Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. T-Bones will lead off this bottom of the second with their left fielder Brian Sabatella, then Vladimir Frias, the shortstop, and Nick Schwanner, the first baseman. 5, 6, 7 hitters in the lineup for Kansas City. Brian Sabatella in last night's game went 2 for 4 with 3 runs batted in. 2 of them were driven in on a single. Or 2 of them actually were driven in. Yeah, it was on that single. So with a total of 3 RBIs last night, and he takes strike 1 on the outside corner there from TJ Bozeman, the Air Hogs starter. Second start of the year for Bozeman. He's back out from the bullpen and taking Aaron Wilkerson's vacated spot in the starting rotation. Wilkerson was sold to the Boston Red Sox minor league organization, now playing for their short A team, the Lowell Spinners. No balls and 2 strikes to Brian Sabatella. Here's the windup in the 0-2 from Bozeman. Swung on and foul tipped by Sabatella into the catcher. That appeared to be strike 3. It was a half-hearted swing from Brian Sabatella, chasing a pitch outside from TJ Bozeman. It's still no balls and 2 strikes to count. Brian Sabatella is another veteran, a 29-year-old from Accobogue, New York. Last season played for the New Jersey Jackals. In his career, he has gotten as high as single-A ball in affiliated minor league baseball. Swing and a miss on the 0-2. Didn't get a piece of that one, and that is out number 1. Second consecutive strikeout for Bozeman in the game. That'll bring up the shortstop, Vladimir Frias. who had a 2-run home run in last night's contest, going 2 for 4. 298 hitter this season is Frias. He's a native of the Dominican Republic. 27 years old, and he's been as high as Triple-A ball. Last season played for Gateway in the Frontier League. Has taken for called strike 1 to the left-handed batter Frias. Now has 2 home runs on the season, as well as 27 runs batted in. This is driven into right field, a base hit. 1-out single for Vladimir Frias in the bottom of the second. 2 base hits in the game so far for the T-Bones, 3 for the Air Hogs. Brings up the first baseman, Nick Schwanner. Left-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher. Schwanner last night, 1 for 4. He is batting .282 this year with the T-Bones. 2 home runs and 19 RBIs. For Nick Schwanner from Slidell, Louisiana. He's 26 years old, and earlier this year he played for Evansville. That's taken low for ball 1. Schwanner has played 46 games with the T-Bones, so not the full season. Leading off at first base is Vladimir Frias, who had a stolen base last night. The 0-1 is driven foul down the first base line. A ball and a strike to Nick Schwanner with Brian Erie, the catcher, on deck for Kansas City. Air Hogs are 3-1 against the T-Bones this year. This is the final series between the two. Both of the series between these two teams have been here at Community America Ballpark. Last year, the Air Hogs and T-Bones faced off 9 times in 2013. The Air Hogs won that season series 5-4. A ball and a strike to Nick Schwanner. Here's the pitch from Bozeman. Called strike 2 on the outside edge. 91 miles per hour on that fastball. From T.J. Bozeman, the 24-year-old and the former Fort Worth Cat. Started out this season in the American Association with the Lincoln Salt Dogs. That is a move to first, and it's very close. Safe is the call from first base umpire Trent Delmont, but Frias just getting in the nick of time under that tag from Frazier Hall at first base. And now Vladimir Frias is calling time and kicking the dirt just to the right of the bag. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Nick Schwanner meanwhile. Runner at first and only 1 out in the bottom of the second. Left-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher. Now set at the letters is Bozeman. He peers over at first base, and here's the pitch. Bounced on the ground to third. Short hop fielded by Nieves. Not handled at second base by Mojica. He tried to jump over Frias to make the turn to first, but forgot the ball. And safe at second is Frias under the slide. That will be ruled an error to Mojica on the catch. Not a throwing error for Nieves, obviously. But it's runners at first and second now. After that botched play by Jimmy Mojica. And the next batter is catcher Brian Erie. Brian Erie last night went 1 for 3. Almost scored for the T-Bones after a collision at home plate with catcher Vince DeFazio. And DeFazio was badly hurt on the play. And this is hit at the helmet of Brian Erie. And quickly, the home plate umpire, Anthony Sheets, getting between him and the pitcher, T.J. Bozeman. That was right at his head and ricocheted off of the helmet. This is going to load the bases with 1 out. The pitching coach, Jeff Russell, is out to talk with T.J. Bozeman, the pitcher. Last night, Ryan Searle threw behind Brian Erie after he had collided with Vince DeFazio at home plate. So this is another interesting ploy here. And I'm not sure if it was intentional or not from TJ Bozeman, Brian Peterson was the catcher last night for Searle during that 7th inning when he was intentionally thrown at last night. He wasn't hit by the pitch, and he was eventually walked in the at-bat. And it certainly would have been interesting if it was an intentional throw to the head of Brian Erie with runners at first and second and only one out in a scoreless game. But either way, it's bases loaded with one out, and the 9-hitter Robbie Coosdale is to the plate for Kansas City. Coosdale went 1 for 4 last night. He's batting .253 and has an 11-game hitting streak. T-Bones with the first real threat in this game. Bases loaded and only one out in the bottom of the second. TJ Bozeman is now set from the stretch and will deliver to Robbie Coosdale on the first pitch. That is outside. An 88-mile-an-hour fastball there from TJ Bozeman, the 24-year-old. Robbie Coosdale is 26 from Lutz, Florida. Last season in the Frontier League, he played for Joliet. 1-0 pitch is swung on and bounced foul. And now an even count at 1-1. So it's bases loaded here with only one out in the bottom of the second inning for the Kansas City T-Bones. Last night the Air Hogs had the lead for pretty much the entire game. They jumped out 5-0 in the top of the first. T-Bones answered with 4 in the bottom half of that inning. But the Air Hogs never dropped the lead at all last night, as this breaking pitch from Bozeman misses low and inside to Robbie Coosdale. And the count moves to 2-1. On deck for the T-Bones as TJ Middlestat. Robbie Coosdale, with the bases loaded this season, is 0 for 4 with 1 RBI. This is lined over the glove of Mojica into center field. 1 run scores, a stop sign given to Nick Schwanner at third base. RBI single for Robbie Coosdale makes it 1-0 T-Bones here in the second. So still only one out and the base is still loaded. And now the top of the order returns for Kansas City. TJ Middlestat led off the first inning of this game with a double. Last night he led off in the first with a home run. Middlestat, a left-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher Bozeman. Here's the first pitch. It is a check swing and in the dirt, blocked by Brian Peterson. And it's going to be ball 1 as home plate umpire Anthony Sheets gives a new ball to TJ Bozeman. TJ Middlestat this year, 2 for 9 with the bases loaded with 4 RBIs. Last night he went 2 for 5. He comes into this game with the second best on-base percentage in the league at .447, just behind Ryan Corey of Wichita. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Bozeman. Taken outside. And a little high from Bozeman there. 2-0 the count. David Espinosa on deck for the T-Bones. Bases loaded, still 1 out. T-Bones with a 1-0 lead over the Air Hogs in the bottom of the second. And it's a little upstairs from Bozeman there. 3-0 to TJ Middlestat. Bozeman did walk in a run in his first start with the Air Hogs this year against Laredo on June 29th. Does not want to do so here in his second start. The 3-0 is now on the way. And it is going to be a 4-pitch walk, scoring Nick Schwanner from third base. And it is 2-0 T-Bones here in the bottom of the second. First walk of the game for Bozeman. And it does not come at a very opportune time for the Air Hogs. Now another dangerous hitter to the plate, David Espinosa. .296 this season, leads the American Association with 10 triples this year. He does have one against the Air Hogs, his former team. Last season he was with the Lincoln Salt Dogs, and this year an all-star selection. Will serve as a bench utility player for the South All-Star team on July 29th. All-Star game will be in Winnipeg, Manitoba. First pitch to Espinosa is hit high in the air to left. Brian Myro chasing it. It's going to drift foul and out of play. Bouncing just a few rows into the stands there and back onto the grass in left field. Strike one to Espinosa, who flew out to center field in the first inning by way of a great diving catch from Madison Carter for out number one in the first. Now Espinosa comes up with the bases loaded here in the second. This year he is 1 for 5 with the bases juiced. Strike one and now strike two on that bouncer foul by Espinosa. No balls and 2 strikes with Danny Richar on deck for Kansas City. Now it's a 2-0 lead for the T-Bones after that walk allowed with the bases loaded by TJ Bozeman. Bozeman set from the stretch at the letters. Here is the 0-2. Inside. And it may have appeared to hit David Espinosa. That's what he thought, and he was on his way to first. But Anthony Sheets says no. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. And John Mazzarelli is out from the dugout to talk with Anthony Sheets. Espinosa thought he was hit by that pitch on his right knee. And Mazzarelli is talking with Anthony Sheets right now. Bozeman has already hit one batter in this inning. It was Brian Erie. He plunked him on the back of the helmet. But he will stay in this at-bat. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 3 base hits for each team. 1 error for the Air Hogs. That's coming this inning to Jimmy Mojica. And the T-Bones lead it by a score of 2-0. Bases loaded and 1 out here in the bottom of the second. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Hit high in the air. On the left side, Albel Nieves is drifting to the foul wall, but he won't have a play as it bounces off of the roof of the Air Hogs dugout on the third base line. Count still 1 ball and 2 strikes against Espinosa, who holds the Air Hogs single season record with 11 triples. He had that in 2010. Also holds the season record in runs scored with 86. He also had that in the 2010 season with Grand Prairie. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bozeman with the pitch. A check swing. It's a little low. Check swing is confirmed by third base umpire Joe Pascucci, and now the count is 2-2. TJ Bozeman now up to 45 pitches, 26 strikes. And we're only in the second inning. On June 29th against the Laredo Lemurs in his first start with the Air Hogs, he only lasted 3 innings. The 2-2 is on the way. Bounced up the middle. Mojica with the fielding play. Steps on the base and goes to first, and that ends the inning. A 6-3 double play, and Jimmy Mojica makes up for the mistake he made earlier in the inning. But the T-Bones do have the lead because of that. 2-run score on 2 hits and a couple of men left on base by Kansas City as well. So after 2 innings, it is 2-0 Kansas City here at Community America Ballpark. You're listening to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Welcome back. We start the third inning here at Community America Ballpark in Kansas City. Airhogs trail the T-Bones 2-0. As we start the third, Madison Carter will be the first batter of this third inning. First time he's been up tonight, but he's already made an impact on this game with a great diving catch in center field. That came in the first inning against David Espinosa. Now he'll face the starting pitcher Andy Noga for the T-Bones, and he delivers strike one right down the middle to the 22-year-old rookie Madison Carter. Fresh off an appearance in the College World Series from last month for the University of Texas. Bounces this one on the ground to second base. Rechar with the stop. And out at first base is going to be Madison Carter. He was running very hard, and it was a slow ground ball to Rechar. Eric Champion sprinting over to the first base umpire, Trent Delmont, over from third base, and he thought that Madison Carter was safe. And to be honest, I thought he was too. Close bang-bang play at first base. Schwanner with the stretch and the catch there at first. And Madison Carter is going to be out. And it's one down here in the third. Carter in this ballpark on July 10th was robbed of a grand slam with a long fly ball to left field that was ruled foul as it soared over the left field fence. It would have been a grand slam and would have given the Airhogs a 3-run lead late in the game, one in which they ended up losing in 10 innings when the T-Bones walked off on a sacrifice fly. So one down here in the third. Jimmy Mojica, the next batter. He takes strike one from Noga. He grabbed a single in the first inning but was caught stealing 2-6. Later on in the frame, he takes ball one, and the count now evens at a ball and a strike. Mojica's batting average is now up to .301 this season. A home run and 20 runs batted in this year. He had his only home run of the year here in this ballpark on July 8th, a 2-run blast to left center field. 2 balls and 1 strike to Mojica, right-handed. This is lined over the glove of the shortstop Frias. Mojica turning at second base. Now he's got to go to third. And Nunez is now going to be caught between first and second base. And it's going to be thrown away by Vladimir Frias into the T-Bones dugout. And as a result, Mojica will score. And Nunez is going to be given an extra base. So now he will walk to third on a very bizarre play in the infield for the T-Bones. Jimmy Mojica initially was caught between second and third base and quickly had to make the decision to go into third before the throw in from the left fielder Brian Sabatella. He then threw it to Frias, who caught Alex Nunez on the base pad between first and second. but then proceeded to throw it into the T-Bones dugout, giving Mojica the extra base to drive him home. And now Nunez is at third for Abel Nieves, the next batter. He looks at ball one low and outside. So Mojica ends up scoring from first base on that play. And Nieves takes ball two low. He struck out swinging in the first inning. Jason Botts on deck. Now the score is 2-1. T-Bones still with the lead. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Airhogs baseball. We start the bottom of the third inning here in Kansas City at Community America Ballpark. A tie score at 2 apiece after that wild top of the third inning for the Airhogs, where they scored 2 runs on 2 hits, but also 2 errors by the T-Bones in one sequence involving a single to left field by Alex Nunez. So now it is tied at 2 as a result, and TJ Bozeman on the mound for the Airhogs will deliver ball 1 high and outside to Danny Rechar, who had one of those throwing errors in the top of the third inning. Here's the 0-1 pitch, and it's taken for a called strike one on the lower third of the zone. A ball and a strike now to Rechar, who flew out to center field in the first inning. The windup in the 1-1 pitch from TJ Bozeman. Swung on and missed a 77-mile-per-hour curve. From Bozeman, the 24-year-old. Started out this year with Lincoln. Appeared eight times, 2 starts, 6 times in relief. So far has 5 relief appearances for the Airhogs this year, and this is his second start with the team. A 90-mile-per-hour fastball is outside to Rechar, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Rechar will be followed by Ray Sadler and Brian Sabatella in this bottom of the third, the 3, 4, 5 hitters in the lineup for Kansas City. Tie score at 2 apiece. Here is the 2-2 pitch to Danny Rechar. It is lifted foul, straight back and out of play. Danny Rechar leads the T-Bones in RBIs this year with 41. He also has 5 home runs with the team, batting with an average of .251. He still leads them in RBIs, even though he spent a brief time this year on the disabled list. The 2-2 is on the way, just a little low in the dirt, and now it's a full count to Rechar. Ray Sadler on deck for Kansas City. Airhogs trying to take another series against the T-Bones this 2014 season. They took 2 out of 3 a couple weeks ago here in this same ballpark. And now they're 3-1 against the Central Division team this year. That's low for ball 4, and a leadoff walk is drawn by Rechar. Second walk allowed by TJ Bozeman in this game. He walked in a run in the second. Now the bottom of the third inning. The score is still tied, and the next batter is Ray Sadler, who struck out swinging in the first. Ray Sadler, a total of 12 home runs this year. 10 of them came in his time with the Winnipeg Goldeyes earlier in 2014. Now he's back with the T-Bones, who he spent quite a while with before joining Winnipeg. He looks at ball 1 outside. Ray Sadler this season with the T-Bones as he swings and misses at the next pitch, and Rechar is taking second base, and he will slide in safely. So Rechar puts himself in scoring position on that play with his 6th stolen base of the year. Still nobody out in this bottom of the third inning. 1 ball and 1 strike to count against Ray Sadler. He's batting .238 with the T-Bones this year. The 1-1 pitch is on the way. Swing and a miss. And unable to make contact on that curveball was Ray Sadler. 1 ball and 2 strikes with Brian Sabatella on deck. A runner at second base and nobody out. In the bottom of the third inning, a tie score at 2 apiece in the second of this 3-game set here in Kansas City. Bozeman looks at second where Rechar is leading off. Now he delivers home on the 1-2. Swing and a miss. And Sadler will strike out for the second time tonight. Third K of the game for Bozeman, and it's out number 1 here in the third. Well, after this 3-game set, the Airhogs will go back out on the road for a 4-game set in Laredo with their South Division rival, the Laredo Lemurs. And then directly after that will be the All-Star break, so 2 days off. And then another road series following that in Lincoln, 4 games with the Salt Dogs. Fastball is taken for called strike 1 to the next batter, Brian Sabatella, who struck out swinging in the second. A runner at second base and 1 out here in the bottom of the third inning. 2 runs for each team. Airhogs have out-hit the T-Bones 5-3. Bozeman set at the letters. Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss on another curveball. 64 miles per hour on that off-speed pitch by Bozeman. And he's done well with that breaking pitch against these T-Bones batters tonight. No balls and 2 strikes against Brian Sabatella. Last night drove in 3 runs, going 2 for 4. He's batting .279 this year with Kansas City. Bozeman now ready for the 0-2, and here it comes. Fastball low. Brian Peterson scrambling to catch up to that one in the dirt, and he will do so without letting the runner go to third base, and it's a ball and 2 strikes to Sabatella with Vladimir Frias on deck for the T-Bones. Sabatella last season was with the New Jersey Jackals, a 29-year-old veteran from Accoboke, New York. Bozeman looks at second. Mojica is ready for the pickoff if need be, and that breaking pitch misses inside to Sabatella, evening the count at 2-2. Brian Sabatella, with runners in scoring position this year, is batting .324 with 21 RBIs. 2-2 pitch is on the way from Bozeman. A fastball just a little outside of the outside edge of the plate there. Now it's a full count to the left fielder Sabatella. A right-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher. A runner at second and only 1 out. A tie score at 2 apiece. Time called by Brian Peterson behind the dish. Airhogs looking for a 3-game winning streak. They took the series finale against the Quebec Capitals on Sunday and the series opener of this one last night. A swing and a miss, a strikeout to Sabatella. A snap throw from Peterson over to second is not in time to nab the runner Rechar, but it is 2 down after a couple of strikeouts by Bozeman. Give him 4 punch-outs on the night, and it's 2 down here in the third. Next batter is Vladimir Frias, who singled in the second inning and scored the first run of the game. Frias last night had a 2-run home run in the first inning to cut the Airhogs' lead to 1 run, but the Airhogs were able to keep that lead against the T-Bones throughout last night's game for a 10-7 victory. Left-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher. The shortstop Frias looking to go 2 for 2 against Bozeman. Here comes the first pitch from him. And that's an 87-mile-per-hour fastball missing low for ball 1. Frias, a native of the Dominican Republic, an LS4 status player. Last season played in the Frontier League for Gateway. Outside on the next pitch from Bozeman, and it's 2-0. Nick Schwanner is on deck for the T-Bones. 2 outs and a runner at second base. Tie score at 2 apiece here in the bottom of the third. Bozeman will deliver home on the 2-0. Driven into center field. Madison Carter charging in. He's not going to get there. And being waved home is Rechar. The throw to the plate is going to be cut off by Frazier Hall. And the T-Bones retake the lead by 1 run. It's 3-2. Here in the third inning, an RBI single for Vladimir Frias. He is now 2 for 2 tonight. Next batter of the inning is Nick Schwanner. A fielder's choice in the second inning. It probably would have been a double play if Jimmy Mojica hadn't dropped the throw from Abel Nieves at third base. Mojica at second, dropping that one. That is an out on the pickoff move. Bozeman nabs the base runner Frias, trying to dive back into first base, and Frazier Hall with a quick tag at first, and that is how we're going to end this third inning. A run scores for the T-Bones on 1 hit. Nobody left on base, but they retake the lead 3-2 after 3 innings here at Community America Ballpark. You're listening to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Airhogs baseball. We start the fourth inning here in Kansas City. Airhogs now trail by a score of 3-2 to the T-Bones. And we'll lead it off with Brian Myro in this fourth. Myro 1 for 1 tonight with a single in the second inning. Last night he drove in a couple of runs on an RBI double, going 2 for 5 in last night's game. Starting in left field again, as he did last night. Facing off against the starter Andy Noga for the T-Bones. Here's the first pitch. And that is just at the feet of Myro, and it did hit him, said the first or home plate umpire Anthony Sheets. And so he will take first base on the hit by a pitch. Initially, I thought that he dodged that pitch in the dirt from Noga, but it did clip him on one of his feet. I'm not sure which one. But he is on base as the leadoff hitter, and the next batter is going to be veteran catcher Brian Peterson, who's 0 for 1 tonight with a strikeout in the second. Noga peers over his shoulder at first base and delivers home to Peterson. Bounced on the ground, foul. Down the third base line. Brian Peterson in his third start with the Airhogs this year, in his fifth game played. So far, he's batting .222, going 2 for 9 coming into this game, and now 2 for 10 if you count his at-bat tonight. The 0-1 is now on the way from Noga. This is lined down the right field line. It's also going to go foul and out of play. No balls and 2 strikes to the 35-year-old veteran catcher Brian Peterson, signed last weekend by the Airhogs, replacing Mitch Abeda, and is going to be relied on a little more now that Vince DeFazio is down with the right knee injury that he suffered last night. The 0-2 is on the way. This is hit well into left field, going to bounce off of the left field wall. And Myro is going to go from first to third. The throw to third is not in time. Safe on the slide is Myro. And Myro, the 37-year-old, not really known for his speed, but he was able to hustle around second base and slide in safely to third on the double by Brian Peterson. So Peterson's third base hit with the Airhogs this season, as well as his second double. And it puts runners at second and third with nobody out for a guy who's hit very well in his last few games, Frazier Hall. Here's the first pitch to him. It's hit high in the air on the left side. Is it going to go out of play? Yes, it will. Just about 10 rows back into the seats for strike one to Frazier Hall. 0 for 1 tonight, a fly out to center in the second inning. Last night, 4 RBIs, including 3 on a double in the first inning. And then he followed that up with a solo home run in the sixth. Left-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher, Andy Noga. Runners at second and third base and nobody out. Here's the windup in the 0-1. This is driven into right field for a base hit. Myro is going to score. Peterson will stop at third base. And another RBI for Frazier Hall. 5 runs driven in this series now. And he ties the score again. It's now 3-3 here in Kansas City. And now out to the mound to talk with his pitcher is pitching coach Bill Sabe for the Kansas City T-Bones. Andy Noga in this start is now up to 47 pitches, which is a good pace here in the fourth inning for most starters. TJ Bozeman well over that expected pitch count for the Airhogs. And Andy Noga trying to settle down here in this fourth inning. Already given up 1 run and still nobody out with runners at the corners. Next batter is going to be 8-hitter Ride Rodriguez. Rodriguez 0 for 1 tonight and only batting 1 for 13 in his first 4 games with the Airhogs this season, signed last week by the team and made his debut Saturday. First pitch from Noga is taken for called strike 1 on the outside corner. Rod Rodriguez is a native of Cuba, 26 years old. Earlier this season played for the Brownsville Charros and hit .317. This is chopped to the shortstop, a turn to second, a throw to first. That is not going to be in time at first base, and the Airhogs will take the lead on that RBI fielder's choice by Rod Rodriguez. And Rodriguez now with his first run driven in as an Airhog, and it gives his team a 4-3 lead. Now a runner at first and 1 out. Frazier Hall forced out at second base. The next batter is Madison Carter. Madison Carter grounded out to second base in the 3rd inning of this game. So far tonight, 0 for 1. Right-handed batter and a right-handed pitcher. Here is the first pitch to him, lifted high in the air to right. Ray Sadler chasing it, but it's going to go foul and out of play. Madison Carter, back on Thursday, July 10th, almost had a grand slam, his first home run in his professional career here at this stadium, which would have given the Airhogs a 3-run lead. Instead, right after that, was called a foul ball. He drove in 2 runs on a double. This is popped foul down the right field side and finding itself in the first row of seats here at Community America Ballpark. No balls and 2 strikes to the center fielder, Carter. A runner at first and only 1 out in the top of the 4th inning. Airhogs with 2 runs here in this top of the 4th to take the lead 4-3. Their first lead of the game. Noga with the 0-2 pitch, and it's inside at the hands of Madison Carter. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Almost everyone thought that Madison Carter had a grand slam just 2 weeks ago here in this ballpark, but it was ruled foul by the home plate umpire. The next pitch is bounced on the ground and under the glove of the third baseman Middlestat, and it rolls into left field for a base hit for Carter. And so now runners at first and second base, and still only 1 out. And former T-Bone Jimmy Mojica is now to the plate, and that will actually be ruled an error to the third baseman Middlestat. As another error has been put up on the board for the T-Bones, they now have 3 in this game, and we're only in the 4th inning. Jimmy Mojica in this game is 2 for 2, and he scored on one of those errors. A throwing error into the T-Bones dugout by second baseman Danny Richar. He takes strike 1 from Noga. That was the first run of the game for the Airhogs. Right-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher. Rodriguez at second base. Carter at first. 1 out here in the top of the 4th. 4-3 lead for Grand Prairie. Noga delivers home on the 0-1. It hits Mojica in the left hip. And that's the second hit batsman of the inning for Noga. And it will load the bases with only 1 out here in the 4th. And the next batter is Alex Nunez. The Airhogs had this same situation in the bottom of the 2nd inning, where the T-Bones crossed 2 runs over the plate to take a 2-0 lead. Bases loaded and 1 out, and they now have an opportunity to take an even bigger lead here in this 4th inning against Andy Noga. Here's the first pitch to Nunez inside on the 83-mile-an-hour heater. Nunez in this game is 1 for 2 with a single and a run scored in the 3rd. He advanced all the way to third base on that sequence that included 2 errors for the T-Bones after Nunez had that single into left field. Two 2-0 the count against Nunez, the left-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher. Outside on the 2-0 pitch from Andy Noga, and it's 3-0 the count. Bozeman walked in a runner with the bases loaded in the second inning, and Andy Noga in danger of doing it here in the fourth. Here's the 3-0 pitch. This is hit high in the air to right field. Ray Sadler under it, now charging in and tagging and trying to go home on the sacrifice fly is Ride Rodriguez, and he will be safe. The throw from Sadler is just to the left of Brian Erie, and it'll be a sacrifice fly for Alex Nunez, driving in Ride Rodriguez to make it 5-3. Air Hogs here in the fourth inning. Moving from second to third on the play is Carter, so now it's runners at the corners and 2 outs. Next batter of the inning is Abel Nieves, who is 0 for 2. A strikeout and a ground out to the shortstop. Noga from the stretch now delivers home. Runner going to second base. Bounce to the third baseman Middlestad. He makes the stop and the throw. A little high to the first baseman Schwanner, but he's able to stop it to end the top of the fourth inning. But the Air Hogs take the lead with 3 runs on just 2 hits. An error in the field by the T-Bones and 2 men left on base by the Air Hogs. It is 5-3 going to the bottom of the fourth. Grand Prairie has the lead. You're listening to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Bottom of the fourth inning here at Community America Ballpark in Kansas City. The Air Hogs with a 5-3 lead over the T-Bones. Leading it off in this bottom of the fourth for Kansas City will be the first baseman, Nick Schwanner. Schwanner was due up in the bottom of the third after Vladimir Frias' RBI single, but then Frias was picked off at first base before TJ Bozeman delivered a pitch home to Schwanner. So now he will come up for this at-bat. Schwanner with a reach on a fielder's choice in the second inning, and he later scored. So 0 for 1 tonight. And now Bozeman will deliver home for the first pitch. Under the check swing, it's called strike 1 on the inside edge of the plate. Nick Schwanner went 1 for 4 last night, batting .282 for the T-Bones this season. That is outside on the next pitch from Bozeman, a ball and a strike now. Schwanner will be followed by Brian Erie and Robbie Coosdale in the bottom of the fourth for the T-Bones. Swung on and foul tipped into the backstop by Schwanner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nick Schwanner, 26 years old, from Slidell, Louisiana, started out this year in Evansville. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Air Hogs with 5 runs on 7 hits and have outscored and out-hit the T-Bones in this one. T-Bones with 3 errors in the field already. The windup in the 1-2 from Bozeman is high on the breaking pitch, and it's now a 2-2 count with Brian Erie on deck. TJ Bozeman trying to go longer than he did in his last start against Laredo, and it wouldn't be too tough to do so. He only lasted 3 innings on June 29th against the Lemurs. That is popped foul down the left side, and it will go out of play into the seats to keep the count at 2-2 to Nick Schwanner. Airhogs already 1-0 on this road trip. On their previous road trip to Kansas City and Sioux Falls a couple of weeks ago, they went 4-2 during the week. Next pitch is driven hard to first base. Diving to make the stop is Frazier Hall, and he flips to Bozeman, who covers the bag, and that is out number 1. A great play from Frazier Hall, who had a great leaping catch in last night's contest. And another great defensive play there. Has really shown his worth for the Airhogs after coming back from the disabled list just last week. And that is out number 1 here in this bottom of the 4th inning. Next batter is Brian Erie, who was hit by a pitch in the 2nd inning, plunked right in the back of the helmet. First pitch to the first for TJ Bozeman is in there for called strike 1. Brian Erie was also thrown at last night. A pitch from Ryan Searle went behind him. Airhogs weren't happy about him colliding so hardly with Vince DeFazio, their catcher. DeFazio ended up being injured on the play, injuring his right knee, not available for this game, and probably won't be available for the rest of this road trip. The 1-1 is now on the way from Bozeman. It's low on the fastball. And the count now moves to 2-1 to Brian Erie. Last night, Erie went 1 for 3, bringing his average to 263 on the season with the T-Bones. Righty versus righty. The 2-1 is on the way, and it's just a little outside for Bozeman on the 85-mile-an-hour fastball. 3-1 the count to Erie with Robbie Coosdale on deck. 5-3 lead for the Airhogs, 1 out and nobody on in the bottom of the 4th inning. Bozeman winds up and delivers the 3-1 pitch in the dirt, and Erie will take a 5-pitch walk here from TJ Bozeman, the 3rd free pass given up by Bozeman in the game. Now Robbie Coosdale is the next batter. Drove in a run on a single in the 2nd inning, and that opened up our scoring here at Community America Ballpark in the 2nd. Coosdale last night 1 for 4. And against the Airhogs, he's batting .286, 4 for 14 coming into this game. And now 5 for 15 if you count his single tonight. Outside on the first pitch from Bozeman, 1-0 the count. Brian Erie at first base. This season, Erie only 3 stolen bases this year. Bozeman peers over his shoulder and now delivers home. That's a fastball and a swing and a miss there by Coosdale. He tried to check his swing, but went a little too far over home plate. It's a ball and a strike. To the 26-year-old from Lutz, Florida. Last season, played for Joliet in the Frontier League. Bozeman set at the letters. Here's the 1-1. Hit high in the air to center. Going back is Carter. He will make the catch on the run for out number 2. That keeps Erie at first base. And Madison Carter, covering a lot of ground out there in center field, had a great diving catch on the full extension in left center in the 1st inning, robbing David Espinosa of a base hit. So now 2 down here in the bottom of the 4th, and the top of the order is back for Kansas City. TJ Mittelstadt tonight is 1 for 1 with a double and a walk. Came into this game with the 2nd best on-base percentage in the American Association at .447. And here's the first pitch to him in this at-bat. That's outside, a snap throw to first. The tag not in time from Frazier Hall, as diving back in On the play is Erie. Ball 1 to Middlestad. TJ Middlestad listed as a utility player on this roster for Kansas City. He's been used in many different ways. Tonight he's at third base, but has also started at second as well as left field. This is hit high in the air, and it's going to go foul, straight back and over the roof here at Community America Ballpark. An even count at 1-1 to TJ Middlestad with David Espinosa on deck. The Airhogs lead at 5-3 here in the bottom of the fourth inning, trying to take this series as they did 2 weeks ago here in Kansas City. The 1-1 is on the way from Bozeman. A delayed call from Anthony Sheets at home plate. It's called strike 2 on the inside corner. And that makes the count 1-2 against Middlestad. Only stands at 5'9". A left-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher, Bozeman. Here's the 1-2. And that 87-mile-per-hour fastball is outside, evening the count at 2-2. A runner at first base and 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth. The T-Bones took a 2-0 lead in the second, then the Airhogs tied it right back in the top of the third. T-Bones with 1 run in the bottom of the third to retake the lead, but then the Airhogs came back with 3 more runs in the top half of the fourth inning to give us the score that we have now in the bottom half of the fourth. It's 5-3 in favor of the Airhogs. It's a full count now to TJ Middlestad with a runner at first and 2 outs. And TJ Bozeman's pitch count still rising here. It's now over 70 pitches. Set at the letters. Here's the 3-2, runner going. Lifted high in the air to left. Shallow left field. Calling for it is Myro, and he drops it. It's off his glove. He was calling for it, and it was a routine play, but he just flat out dropped it. And now safe at third base on the play is Brian Erie on what's going to be ruled an error to the left fielder, Brian Myro. So Middlestad has reached for the third time in this game, once on a double, once on a walk, and now on an error to the left fielder. So now it's runners at the corners with 2 outs for David Espinosa. 0 for 2 so far tonight. Flied out on a diving catch by Madison Carter in center field in the first inning and grounded into an inning-ending double play in the second. Runner going on the first pitch. It is lifted foul over the screen by Espinosa for strike 1. Danny Rechar is on deck for Kansas City. Espinosa, the designated hitter, and will represent the T-Bones in the All-Star game as well, listed as a utility player on the bench. And John Mazzarelli is out from the dugout to talk with Anthony Sheets about something. Not sure what that was, but now it was a brief conversation, and we're back to restart this one. No balls and 1 strike to David Espinosa, the left-handed batter and former Grand Prairie Airhog. Batted .351 in 2010 for the team, the 4th best batting average for one season in Airhogs history. He spent a long time in the American Association. Last year he was with the Lincoln Salt Dogs and now finds himself in Kansas City. The 1-strike pitch is on the way, and it's again lifted foul over the screen, making it 0-2 against David Espinosa. David Espinosa is from Miami, Florida. A 32-year-old veteran, has spent his entire career in independent baseball. Runners at the corners and 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth. Airhogs clinging to their 2-run lead in the second of this 3-game set. Bozeman set at the letters. Here's the 0-2. It's just outside on the curveball from Bozeman. A ball and 2 strikes to David Espinosa with Danny Rechar on deck for Kansas City. Espinosa so far this season just 2 for 16 against the Airhogs. Runner going on the next pitch, and it's dropped in the dirt by Brian Peterson, so no throw to second as TJ Middlestad takes the bag. And that gives Middlestad 11 stolen bases on the year. Now runners at second and third base, and the tying run is in scoring position now for the T-Bones in the bottom of the fourth. Espinosa this year with 28 runs batted in, 1 home run, and has played every game in the starting lineup for the T-Bones in 2014. Only other player that can say that is TJ Middlestad. 2-2 pitch is on the way. High this time on the 69-mile-per-hour curve. And the count is full to David Espinosa. Airhogs have out-hit the T-Bones 7-4 and outscored them 5-3. 3 errors for the T-Bones and 2 for the Airhogs. The payoff pitch is on the way from Bozeman. Hit high in the air to right field. Ride Rodriguez is going to have to wait a long time for this one to come down, and he will make the grab for out number 3. So the Airhogs keep the T-Bones scoreless in that fourth inning. No runs on no hits. An error by the Airhogs and 2 men left on base. We've played 4 here at Community America Ballpark, and the score is 5-3 in favor of the Airhogs. You're listening to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. We start the 5th inning here at Community America Ballpark in Kansas City, Kansas. The Airhogs have a 5-3 lead over the T-Bones. And back in is Andy Noga, the starter. Actually, there is a new pitcher in there. It is number 41, Derek Gordon, a right-handed reliever out of Lincoln, Nebraska. A 23-year-old rookie who played his college ball at Park University. This season, Derek Gordon has appeared 4 times and started in 2 games for the Kansas City T-Bones, an ERA of 3.21 and a record of 1-0. So now used in the bullpen for the T-Bones, coming in relief of Andy Noga, who gave up 5 runs on 7 hits, only 3 earned runs in this outing for him through 4 innings. This was Noga's 12th start of the year, now giving him 66 2/3 innings pitched for the T-Bones. So now coming in relief is number 41, Derek Gordon. The T-Bones in last night's contest used 3 pitchers. The starter DeVore went 5 1/3, then Hamilton Bennett worked an inning and 2/3, and then the second reliever, Pat Doyle, worked 2 full innings. So the first batter that Derek Gordon will face in this 5th inning will be Jason Botts. He is 1 for 2 tonight with a single in the second. He also flew out to right field in the 3rd. Now batting left-handed against the right-handed reliever, Derek Gordon. Here's the first pitch, and it's taken for ball 1 outside. Andy Noga in his appearance faced 21 batters and grabbed 2 strikeouts. Now it's a ball and a strike to Jason Botts. Andy Noga didn't allow a walk in that outing. Next pitch to Botts is just low for ball 2. Now the count moves to 2-1. Jason Botts will be followed by Brian Myro and Brian Peterson, the 4, 5, 6 hitters in the lineup for Grand Prairie. They have a 5-3 lead here in the top of the 5th. This is swung on and bounced foul off of the Air Hogs dugout on the third base line, and the count even at 2-2. Jason Botts is the designated hitter as well as the designated Chick-fil-A batter here at Community America Ballpark, so if he strikes out, fans will get a free Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. 2-2 pitch is on the way from Gordon. It's just outside. Only 2 earned runs for Andy Noga in that outing. But a total of 5 given up, 3 errors by the T-Bones already in this game. Here's the next pitch, driven to second base off of the glove of Rechar and into center field. A base hit for Jason Botts. It'll probably be ruled. Yes, it will be a base hit. And a leadoff single for Jason Botts here in the 5th, bringing up Brian Myro, the left fielder. Let's take a look at some other scores in the American Association. Fargo and Winnipeg had to have a doubleheader today because their game yesterday was rained out. Winnipeg took the first game against Fargo 7-2, and now in the top of the 4th inning, they lead the second game 4-1. First pitch to Brian Myro is inside for ball 1. Other scores in Sioux City, the Gary South Shore Railcats lead the Explorers 4-2 in the bottom of the 5th. Also in the bottom of the 5th inning, Wichita trailing the Laredo Lemurs at home 5-1. Low and inside on the next pitch to Brian Myro. It's 2-0 the count against him. He is 1 for 1 in this game. He scored in the 4th inning after being hit by a pitch. Other scores around the league, Lincoln 4, Amarillo 2 in the bottom of the 6th. And Sioux Falls and St. Paul are facing each other as well. In the top of the 5th inning, the Canaries have the lead over St. Paul. St. Paul the hosts in that one. Canaries leading it 3-2 in the top of the 5th inning. So those are your scores around the American Association tonight on this Tuesday evening. 2 balls and 1 strike to Brian Myro. Next pitch is only at 72 miles per hour, an off-speeder, but it's high. To make the count 3-1 against Brian Myro. On deck for the Air Hogs is Brian Peterson. A runner at first base and nobody out. They lead by 2 runs here in the top of the 5th. Derek Gordon delivers home the 3-1 pitch. Bounced foul off of the T-Bones dugout on the first base side. Now it's a full count to Brian Myro. Air Hogs have out-hit the T-Bones 8-4 and outscored them 5-3. 2 errors for the Air Hogs, 3 for the T-Bones. Derek Gordon from the stretch delivers the payoff pitch, and it's inside, a walk drawn by Myro, and it'll put runners at first and second base with nobody out. Now the next batter is going to be Brian Peterson, who doubled and scored in the 4th inning of this game. That's his second double in 5 games with the Air Hogs this year. Brian Peterson is now 3 for 11 in an Air Hogs uniform in his first 5 games with the team. This is also his first action of 2014. Last season was a Laredo Lemur, so he faced the Air Hogs quite a few times in the South Division. Gordon set from the stretch. Here's the first pitch. Right down the middle for strike 1. Peterson fills that 5th veteran spot that was vacant for quite a while for the Air Hogs after they tried to fill somebody in due to the injury to Palmer Card Jr. The 0-1 is on the way, shown bunt by Peterson, and he went around for strike 1. Or actually, strike two, that should be. And it's no balls and two strikes to the catcher, Peterson, 35 years old. Had a long career. He spent quite a while in the Cincinnati Reds minor league organization, and then he bounced around to many different teams after that. And has spent the last few seasons in independent ball. The 0-2 is on the way. Upstairs to Brian Peterson, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. On deck for the Air Hogs is Frazier Hall. Runners at first and second base and nobody out here in the top of the 5th inning. This game has not been a fast-moving one. This is bounced on the ground to the second baseman, and it's off his glove again into center field. Bott stays at third base, and Myro is going to get caught between second and third, and he's just going to stop running and be tagged out by the second baseman, Rechar. Or actually, that is going to be Frias, the shortstop, on the putout by Myro. An 8-6 put out at that. And it's out number 1, putting runners at the corners. And it is going to be ruled the 4th error of the game by the T-Bones. And this one will be the second one charged to the second baseman, Danny Rechar. As Brian Myro is put out on the play, 8-6. For the first out of the 5th inning, and John Mazzarelli, the manager for the T-Bones, is out to the mound. There is a little bit of action in the T-Bones bullpen, a left-hander warming up out there in straightaway center field where the bullpen is located for Kansas City. Also some action in the Air Hogs bullpen. Nobody officially warming up, but people stretching out there. As John Mazzarelli chats with his relief pitcher Derek Gordon. Mazzarelli in his first season as the manager for the Kansas City T-Bones, his 13th season as a manager. Before coming here to the American Association, he managed 8 seasons in the Frontier League, and before that, he managed single-A teams for the Houston Astros. He has a league championship that he won with the Lake Erie Crushers in 2009. And he won 4 division championships with Washington in the Frontier League between 04 and 07. And he is going to yank his reliever, Derek Gordon, after only a third of an inning pitched here in this 5th inning. So he will go to the bullpen with runners at first and third and 1 out for the Air Hogs in the top of the 5th. They lead it by a score of 5-3. We'll be back. You're listening to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Airhogs baseball. It's the top of the fifth inning. The Airhogs have runners at first and third base with one out. And the T-Bones have gone to the bullpen once again for the third pitcher of the night. It is left-hander Derek Loera. Loera this season has appeared 10 times and started once for the T-Bones, pitched a total of 21 in the third innings, an ERA of 5.06 and a record of 0-1. Loera is a rookie out of Odessa, Texas. Played for Hudson Valley before coming here to the T-Bones. 23 years old and only stands at 5'11". He will face Frazier Hall at the dish with runners at first and third and one out. The Airhogs with a 5-3 lead. First pitch is low and outside, blocked by Brian Erie to his left for ball one. Frazier Hall tonight is 1 for 2. An RBI single came in the fourth inning, giving him 5 RBIs in the first 2 games of this series. Had a home run last night as well as a 3-run RBI double. Left-handed batter against a left-handed pitcher. Here is the 1-0. That is an 87-mile-per-hour heater, just missing outside for ball 2. Loera comes in relief of Derek Gordon, who is responsible for runners at first and third. He only went a third of an inning with a hit given up and also a walk allowed. That's called strike 1 on the outside edge. From Derek Loera to Frazier Hall. 2 balls and 1 strike with Ride Rodriguez on deck for Grand Prairie. Jason Botts at third, Brian Peterson at first. And that's called strike 2 on the inside edge this time, evening the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Frazier Hall last season played for South Bend in the Arizona Diamondbacks minor league system before coming to Grand Prairie mid-season in 2013. 5 home runs this year and 21 runs batted in. This is lined straight to the shortstop, Frias. The turn to second. Rechar stops it, and a throw to first. A 6-4-3 double play to end the top of the fifth inning. No runs scored for the Airhogs on 1 hit, an error by the T-Bones in that inning, and 1 man left on base. Still 5-3 as we move to the bottom of the fifth here in Kansas City. You're listening to Grand Prairie Airhogs baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Airhogs baseball. Now start the bottom of the 5th inning here in Kansas City. The Airhogs with a 5-3 lead over the T-Bones in the second of this 3-game set. And they'll go to the bullpen here in the 5th. Bennett Whitmore, the left-hander, is in for the Airhogs. Whitmore on the season with Grand Prairie has pitched a total of 17 innings in 13 appearances, a record of 0-1, and an ERA of 2.65. Whitmore, a left-hander, listed as a rookie on the roster. Played in the Pacific Coast League before coming here to Grand Prairie in 2012. He played for Traverse City, 26 years old, and comes in relief of the starter TJ Bozeman, who worked 4 innings, giving up only 1 earned run, a total of 3 runs in that outing for Bozeman on 4 hits, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts for the 24-year-old right-handed starter in his second start for the Airhogs this year. So he is in line for the win here after leaving in 4 innings of work here in Kansas City. A little bit better than the start he had in Laredo back on June 29th when he gave up 9 runs on 8 hits through just 3 innings of work. So Whitmore will start off this 5th inning for the Airhogs in a game that has really not gone at a very fast pace. We started about 2 hours ago and we're only in the 5th. Whitmore delivers the first pitch to the first batter of this bottom of the 5th. It's Danny Rechar, and it's upstairs for ball 1. Rechar tonight 0 for 1. He drew a walk in the 3rd inning and ended up scoring in that 3rd. This is bounced on the ground on the next pitch to Jimmy Mojica, the shortstop. And a throw to first, beating Rechar by about a step and a half. 1 down here in the 5th. Now the next batter of the inning is Ray Sadler with 1 down and nobody on base. Sadler has struck out twice tonight. Last night he went 1 for 4 with an RBI. Sadler against the Airhogs with the T-Bones this year is 1 for 10 with 4 strikeouts against the Airhogs. Also faced him up in Winnipeg in their 3-game series against him back when he was with the Gold Eyes in the early part of this 2014 season. Looks at ball 1 inside from Whitmore. Here's the 1-0 pitch, swung on and missed by Sadler. A big cut there from the right fielder. And it's an even count at 1-1. Airhogs lead it 5-3. They have out-hit the T-Bones 8-4. The T-Bones with 4 errors in the field. The Airhogs with 2. Inside on the next pitch to Sadler, it's 2-1 with Brian Sabatella on deck for the T-Bones. Right-handed batter against the left-handed pitcher. Whitmore set at the belt. Here is the 2-1. It is jammed on the ground to the second baseman Nunez, and that will be a ground ball out. 2 down here in the 5th inning. Now another batter that has struck out twice tonight. Brian Sabatella is to the dish. Sabatella, the left fielder for Kansas City, batting with an average of 230 or 279 on the season. Drove in 3 runs last night, going 2 for 4. Right-handed batter against the left-handed reliever Whitmore. 2 outs and nobody on base in the bottom of the 5th inning. Whitmore set at the belt. Here's the first pitch. A fastball at 84 miles per hour, just high for ball 1. Now Whitmore sets again. The 1-0 pitch is on the way. This is lined foul into the seats, and that is screaming into the stands here at Community America Ballpark. A ball and a strike now to Sabatella. Community America Ballpark welcomed their 3 millionth fan all time last night, and he received quite the prize pack from the T-Bones. 3 million fans. They started in 2003. This season they are averaging just over 5,300 fans per game. That is second only to the Winnipeg Gold Eyes at Shaw Park. in 2014, but they do lead the league in total attendance. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Brian Sabatella with Vladimir Frias on deck, 2 outs and nobody on. Here is the 1-2 pitch from Whitmore. It is chopped right back to the pitcher, off of the glove of Whitmore. Nunez trying to shovel it over to Frazier Hall at first, but safe at first base is Sabatella. And it is going to be an infield hit for the T-Bones on that play. We have seen quite a few line drives hit straight to infielders off of their gloves, and it's resulted in a lot of errors, but also a lot of infield hits in this game. We had first pitch just about 2 hours ago, and we have only gotten through just 4.5 innings. And we're about to finish up the 5th here, it appears, with 2 outs and a man on first. A move to first base on Sabatella by Whitmore, the left-handed pitcher facing right at the first base bag. So Sabatella not really leading off very much. The next batter is Vladimir Frias, who is 2 for 2 tonight with a couple of singles. Drove in a run in the 3rd. This is down the third base line, and it's fair. It's going to bounce off the foul wall, so it's going to keep Sabatella at second base. And so Frias will only get a single. He is 3 for 3 tonight, but it's pretty crucial that it bounced off of that wall and didn't roll into the left field corner, so Brian Myro didn't have to run that far to field it. So a lucky break there for the Air Hogs on that single by Frias. It does put runners at first and second for the T-Bones with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. They now have the tying run on base. And the next batter is Nick Schwanner. Schwanner tonight 0 for 2. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 2nd and ended up scoring. Grounded out to first base in the 4th. And now he hits this to first again. Frazier Hall, another diving stop. The flip to the pitcher, and they got him out at the first base bag. Frazier Hall had a similar play, and now Nick Schwanner is going to be tossed from this game. He was furious at the call from Trent Delmont at first base, and he is going to be tossed. He threw his helmet in frustration right in the face of Trent Delmont, the first base umpire, and John Mazzarelli is out to talk with him as well. He is not going to be tossed. He's going to walk back, but Schwanner will no longer be a participant in this contest here tonight after being thrown out at first base. Another great play by Frazier Hall, sliding to make that stop at first and flipping to the pitcher to get the out. And that was a similar play on Nick Schwanner in the 4th inning where Frazier Hall dove to stop it. So that ends the 5th inning in quite emphatic fashion there. No run score on 2 hits for the T-Bones, and we have played 5 now here in Kansas City. The Air Hogs still with a 5-3 lead. You're listening to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. We start the 6th here at Community America Ballpark. And after Nick Schwanner was tossed at the end of that 5th inning, he will be replaced by Daryl Hudson, who is going to come in to play third base, moving TJ Middlestad to play at first base for the T-Bones, where Nick Schwanner was playing. So Hudson now batting in Schwanner's place, batting 7th in the lineup and playing at third. Middlestad moving to first for the T-Bones. First pitch from Derek Loera, the reliever, to Ride Rodriguez is swung on and foul tipped. Rodriguez in this game 0 for 2. He did reach base on a fielder's choice in the 4th inning and scored a run. That also drove in a run in the 4th, as the T-Bones couldn't turn the double play to get 2 outs there. Next pitch from Loera is bounced down the third base line by Rodriguez, and it's foul. Fielded by Eric Champion, coaching at third, the manager for the Air Hogs, who made his managing debut against the T-Bones 2 weeks ago and got the win, 7-2. The 0-2 pitch is on the way, chopped over the pitcher's head, through to center field for a base hit, just past the glove of Vladimir Frias. And it is going to be a base hit for Rodriguez, only his second base hit with the team through 4 games. But it leads off this 6th inning, and it brings up Madison Carter, the rookie. Air Hogs lead it by a score of 5-3 here in the 6th. They have out-hit the T-Bones 9-6 in this one. 4 errors in the field by the T-Bones, 2 for the Air Hogs. It's been quite the wild game that has not gone at a very fast pace. This is going to bounce away from the catcher, Erie, and taking second is Ride Rodriguez, as Madison Carter was showing bunt on the play, and it ricocheted off of the guard of Brian Erie and bounced all the way to the backstop to his left side. And that wild pitch from Derek Loera will move Rodriguez into scoring position at second base with nobody out. Madison Carter is 0 for 2. He reached on an error by the third baseman, TJ Middlestad, in the 4th. Now Middlestad is at first base, and Daryl Hudson is at third. Bunting now on that one, and it's going to go foul into the backstop for a 1-1 count against Madison Carter, the center fielder, batting in the 9th spot. Madison Carter, 22 years old, made his debut a couple of weeks ago for the Air Hogs and has now played in 13 games for the team and started in 12 of them. 8 runs driven in. He shows bunt again, and it's foul again. Now 1 ball and 2 strikes. On deck for the Air Hogs is Jimmy Mojica. Rodriguez is at second base with nobody out. Madison Carter, the rookie out of the University of Texas, with 1 ball and 2 strikes against him. Right-handed batter against the left-handed pitcher. And a rookie against a rookie. Here's the 1-2. Hit in the air down the right side, going to go foul and out of play. Still a ball and 2 strikes. The Air Hogs are 3-1 against Kansas City this year, looking to take this 3-game set as well as the season series. Finale of this 3-game set will be tomorrow night at 7:05. Slated to start for the T-Bones is Rick Zagoni facing off against Danny Gutierrez of the Air Hogs. That is low. The next pitch from Loera for ball 2. Both starting pitchers in this one only lasting 4 innings. Right now it's TJ Bozeman in line for the win for the Air Hogs, giving up only 3 runs, and only 1 of them were earned. Andy Noga gave up 5 runs and just 2 were earned. The 2-2 pitch is on the way from Loera, and it's just outside on the slider, moving the count full to Madison Carter. Derek Loera, the left-handed reliever, came in to get 2/3 of an inning in the 5th, and now facing off against Carter here in the 6th. Swing and a foul tip into the backstop by Madison Carter. Carter this season with the Air Hogs is 6 for 15 with runners in scoring position, 400 batting average. That's compared to his normal batting average with the Airhogs this year of 267, 12 hits and 45 at-bats. Payoff pitch is on the way from Loera. Hit in the air to right center. And it's going pretty deep. Ray Sadler back there, and he will make the grab. Tagging at second and going to third base is Rodriguez on the catch. And it's one down here in the sixth. So now the top of the order is back for the Airhogs. Jimmy Mojica will be the batter. He's reached base all 3 times, 2 for 2, and was hit by a pitch in his last appearance. Scored 1 run in the third on a crazy sequence that involved 2 errors, one by the left fielder Sabatella and another by the second baseman Richar. That was after a single by Nunez, and it ended up scoring Jimmy Mojica on that play. Now a runner at third, and the infield is shifted into the grass for the T-Bones. This is bounce foul on the first pitch into the Airhogs dugout on the third base line. Jimmy Mojica comes into this game batting .301 and has now extended his hitting streak to 11 games for the Airhogs this year. Right-handed batter, left-handed pitcher. The 0-1 is on the way. Inside on a fastball at 82 miles per hour from Loera. A ball and a strike to Mojica. Mojica, the 30-year-old veteran, former Kansas City T-Bone. Loera on the mound, the 23-year-old rookie. Here's the next pitch, and it's just missing outside. Now the count moves to 2 balls and 1 strike to Jimmy Mojica. A runner at third base. That's Ride Rodriguez with only 1 out. The Airhogs with a 2-run lead here in the top of the 6th. Loera with the 2-1 to Mojica. Swing and a miss. Was dropped by Brian Erie, and the count is now 2-2 with Alex Nunez on deck. The Airhogs have out-hit the T-Bones 9-6 and outscored them 5-3 so far in this one. This game's had a very slow pace. Our first pitch was at 7:09, and we're now closing in on the bottom of the hour here in Kansas City. 9:22. Swing and a foul tip into the screen by Mojica. So we've gone at least 2 hours and only made it to the top of the 6th here at Community America Ballpark. Last night's game lasted 3 hours and 12 minutes. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Mojica faces a 2-2 pitch. Here it is. Over the head of the second baseman, Danny Richar, into right field, and an RBI single for Jimmy Mojica scores Ride Rodriguez to make it 6-3 Airhogs here in the 6th inning. Jimmy Mojica 3 for 3 on the night with 3 singles. And now 21 runs batted in on the season after that RBI base hit there. Giving the Airhogs a 3-run lead now and putting him on first for Alex Nunez, the second baseman. He drove in a run in the 4th inning on a sacrifice fly. He's also 1 for 2 with a run scored tonight. Ball 1 outside to Nunez, who only stands at 5'11", a 33-year-old veteran second baseman from Venezuela. Again inside and a little high as well. 2-0 to Nunez. On deck for the Airhogs is third baseman Abel Nieves. Jimmy Mojica at first base. He has been caught stealing once tonight. 2-0 pitch to Nunez. Delayed call from Anthony Sheets, but it's called strike 1 on the outside corner. And now 2-1 the count. Alex Nunez said he would retire in 2012. Now runner going, swing and a miss. The throw to second base is in time, and Mojica is caught for the second time in this game by Brian Erie. Vladimir Frias with the tag once again on Mojica, and it's out number 2. So the bases are empty once again in this top of the 6th. 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Nunez. 2 outs and nobody on base. The Airhogs have taken a 6-3 lead with one more run in this 6th inning. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss, and now Nunez will strike out to end the frame. But again, a run scored on 2 hits. Nobody left on base by the Airhogs. They take a 6-3 lead to the bottom of the 6th here at Community America Ballpark in Kansas City, Kansas. You're listening to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. Bottom of the 6th inning here in Kansas City. The Airhogs with a 6-3 lead over the T-Bones. Bennett Whitmore back out there for another inning in relief. Ended up keeping the T-Bones scoreless on 2 hits in the 5th, and now given another inning by Eric Champion in relief of T.J. Bozeman. He will start out this bottom of the 6th against Brian Erie, the catcher, then Robbie Coosdale, the center fielder, and then T.J. Middlestad, the first baseman. Brian Erie, no official at-bats. He's been hit by a pitch and has drawn a walk in this game. Right-handed batter, left-handed pitcher. Bennett Whitmore will deliver home. The first pitch is bounced on the ground to third base. Nieves with an easy grab there and a throw to first. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the 6th for Bennett Whitmore. Robbie Coosdale is the next batter. An RBI single for him in the 2nd inning. He is 1 for 2 tonight, playing in center field and batting in the 9 spot for the T-Bones. Airhogs have out-hit Kansas City 10-6 and outscored them 6-3 in a game that has featured 6 errors combined for these two teams, 4 by the T-Bones and 2 by the Airhogs. Whitmore is set from the belt to deliver to Robbie Coosdale. Here's the first pitch. Just a little low on the 80-mile-per-hour fastball, and it's 1-0 the count. Robbie Coosdale, 26 years old, from Lutz, Florida, has played his entire career in independent ball so far. Last season in the Frontier League, playing for Joliet. That is called strike 1. Another fastball hitting the inside corner this time, evening the count at 1-1. Well, Bennett Whitmore has been known to go pretty far in relief appearances. His longest relief appearance this year for the Airhogs was 4. And that was on June 29th when he came in relief of T.J. Bozeman, who only lasted 3 innings against the Laredo Lemurs. And Whitmore only giving up 1 run in that 4-inning appearance. The only left-handed pitcher on this pitching staff for the Airhogs is Bennett Whitmore. The 2-1. is lifted high in the air to center. Madison Carter going back. It's still going back, and it's going to bounce off the warning track. Carter fields on one bounce, and cruising into second base on the double is Robbie Coosdale. So Coosdale is in scoring position with his 12th double of the season. And he is 2 for 3 tonight. And the next batter is TJ Middlestad, who started out this game at third base, but then had to move to first after the first baseman Nick Schwanner was tossed in the last inning after being thrown out at first base on a play between Frazier Hall and Bennett Whitmore. The second time that he had been thrown out in that same fashion this game, and he slammed his helmet in frustration in front of first base umpire Trent Delmont, and that immediately got him tossed from this contest. So now Middlestad is filling in for him at first base. Darrell Hudson came into his batting spot playing at third. This is lifted foul on the first pitch from Whitmore. Middlestad behind 0-1. He has reached all 3 times tonight. Once on a double, once on a walk, and once on an error by the left fielder Brian Myro on a routine foul fly ball that just bounced out of his glove. The 0-1 pitch, lifted high in the air on the left side. Nieves is over by the foul wall to see if he has a play, and he does not, as it bounces 5 rows into the seats on the left side ballpark. 0-2 the count against TJ Middlestad. Base and 1 out here in the bottom of the 6th. Airhogs now have out-hit the T-Bones 10-7, outscored them 6-3. David Espinosa on deck for Kansas City. 0-2 the count against TJ Middlestad. Bennett Whitmore 6'3". TJ Middlestad at the batter's box only 5'9". Here's the 0-2 pitch. And it's low and outside. Peterson going to his left to stop that one. And it's a ball and 2 strikes. The Airhogs are 26-35 this year. Kansas City is 30-33. Airhogs looking for a 3-game winning streak and trying to go 4-1 against Kansas City this year. 1-2 pitch on the way. Again, low and outside. Evening the count at 2-2 against TJ Middlestad. The Airhogs scored 10 runs on 16 hits last night and are already to 6 in this 6th inning. Here is the 2-2 swing and a foul tip into the mitt of Brian Peterson. So that's a strikeout to Middlestad, and out number 2 here in the top of the 6th. That'll bring up the DH, David Espinosa, who is usually relied on as a pretty good hitter for the T-Bones this year, but against the Airhogs, that hasn't been the case for the most part. Only batting 2 for 21 against the Airhogs this season. He is 0 for 3 tonight. Almost had a base hit in the first inning if it weren't for a diving catch by Madison Carter in center field. He's also grounded into a 6-3 inning-ending double play that came in the second. Runner at second base and 2 outs. The first pitch is on the inside corner for strike 1. An 82-mile-per-hour fastball by Whitmore. And it's nothing in one the count against not TJ Middlestad, David Espinosa, who's a switch hitter batting righty in this matchup against the left-handed pitcher Bennett Whitmore. That is in the dirt, blocked by Peterson, and it rolls to his right, but not going to third base is Coosdale, the base runner. As that is ball 1 to David Espinosa, who leads the American Association with 3 triples this year. He has 1 triple against the Airhogs, only one of his 2 base hits against Grand Prairie this season in 5 games. 1 ball and 1 strike to Espinosa, the former Air Hog. Spent 3 seasons with the team between 2010 and 2012. This is right up to the pitcher, bounced on the pitcher's mound, and it's an easy throw for Whitmore over to first to end the 6th inning. So the T-Bones are scoreless again in that 6th. No runs on 1 hit and a man left on base. We have played 6 innings now at Community America Ballpark, and the Air Hogs with a 6-3 lead over the T-Bones. You're listening to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Air Hogs Baseball. We start the 7th inning here at Community America Ballpark. The Air Hogs with a 6-3 lead over the T-Bones, and we'll lead it off with Abel Nieves, the third baseman, who is 0 for 3 tonight. He'll be followed by Jason Botts and Brian Myro in the Grand Prairie batting order. Derek Loera back on the mound, has now pitched an inning and 2/3 in relief for Kansas City. And looking for more work here against the Air Hogs as they lead at 6-3. In a game that has not moved very quickly. We have now surpassed 2.5 hours of gameplay, and we're now starting the 7th. Ball 1 is delivered upstairs to Nieves, who will represent the Air Hogs in the All-Star game on July 29th, as this one is lifted foul and out of play down the right side, and even count at 1-1. Nieves did drive in a run in the 3rd inning on a ground out. So Bell now with 25 RBIs this season. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Upstairs on the 83-mile-an-hour heater. And now 2 balls and 1 strike to Abel Nieves, a right-handed batter against the left-handed reliever Loera, the 3rd pitcher used by manager John Mazzarelli for the T-Bones. Another ball, and it's 3-1 the count with Jason Botts on deck. Abel Nieves, 28 years old, only a year away from achieving veteran status in the American Association. An LS5 status player is his classification. Outside on the other fastball, and a walk is drawn to lead off this 7th for Nieves. Jason Botts is the next batter. 2 for 3 on the night is Botts with a couple of leadoff singles. He drove in 2 runs in last night's game, going 2 for 4. As the pitching coach, or excuse me, that's the hitting and third base coach Dave Schaub, who is signaling for an outfield shift to the right side. The center fielder, Coosdale, is on the right side, even though Botts is batting righty in this matchup against the left-handed pitcher, Loera. And he drives this one into left field, past Frias, the shortstop. And it's another single for Jason Botts. He is 3 for 4. And it puts runners at first and second base with nobody out for the left fielder, Brian Myro, who is 1 for 1 with a single in the second. He was hit by a pitch in the fourth, and he drew a walk in the fifth inning. Air Champion is talking with home plate umpire Anthony Sheets, as Jason Botts is going to be subbed out for a pinch runner here. It's going to be Matt Burns. So Burns is going to be pinch running for the designated hitter Jason Botts here in the seventh. Burns, a rookie out of Northwestern State. He turned 24 years old last week. Brian Myro is the batter, left-handed batter against the left-handed pitcher here. Airhogs have out-hit the T-Bones 11-7 and outscored them 6-3. We're in the top of the seventh inning. Loera set from the stretch. Here is the first pitch. Hit high in the air into foul territory, and it's going to be playable for the third baseman Hudson. He will make the grab, and the first pitch to Myro is a pop fly into foul territory for an out. So that's an out here in the seventh, and John Mazzarelli is out on the mound. He will take the ball from Derek Loera after 2 full innings in relief for the rookie reliever. So runners at first and second and 1 out for the Airhogs in the top of the seventh inning. They still have a 6-3 lead, and the T-Bones will go to the bullpen once again. You're listening to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. It's the top of the seventh inning, and the T-Bones going back to another bullpen pitcher here. It is right-hander Pat Doyle. Doyle has appeared for the T-Bones 17 times prior to this one, an ERA of 5.51 and a record of 3-4. He also has 7 starts this year for the T-Bones, a total of 50 2/3 innings pitched. Pat Doyle appeared last night against the Airhogs, pitching 2 innings, giving up 1 run on 2 hits, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. He inherits runners at first and second with 1 out here in this top of the 7th inning. The next batter is Brian Peterson, who's 1 for 3 tonight with a double. A swing and a miss on the first pitch. Strike 1 to Peterson, a 35-year-old veteran catcher who will likely get the rest of the starts in this road trip, assuming that Vince DeFazio isn't well enough to come back from his injury this week that he suffered yesterday after a collision at home plate. A swing and another miss by Brian Peterson. 0-2 the count against Pat Doyle, the right-handed reliever for the T-Bones. 26 years old, lives in St. Louis, Missouri. Last season played for Pensacola and Bakersfield. Righty versus righty. The 0-2 is on the way. Just a little low over the plate, and it's ball one. Doyle comes in relief of Derek Loera, who threw 2 full innings in relief. So far has given up 1 run on 3 hits, a walk, and a strikeout, responsible for runners at first and second base. That's a swing and a miss by Peterson. He will strike out for out number 2 in this 7th. Next batter is Frazier Hall. 1 for 3 tonight, an RBI single in the 4th inning. Last night was a big night for him. He drove in a total of 4 runs. 3 of them on a double in the 1st inning, another one on a solo home run in the 6th. Now his runners at first and second with 2 outs in this top of the 7th inning. First pitch to him is taken for called strike 1 right down the middle. Left-handed batter against a right-handed pitcher, Pat Doyle. Both of these guys are 26 years old. Frazier Hall last season was in the Arizona Diamondbacks minor league system before coming to Grand Prairie mid-year. Check swing, but called strike 2 on the inside corner to Frazier Hall, who has made a couple of sliding stops at first base to get a couple of outs on T-Bone's first baseman Nick Schwanner. On the second one, Schwanner thought he was safe and thought he was safe a little too much, as he was immediately thrown out after throwing his helmet to the ground and getting right in the face of first base umpire Trent Dilmont. So he is no longer a participant in this one. This is popped up in the infield. Frias will call for it from shortstop and make the grab to end the top of the 7th. So now it's 7th inning stretch time here at Community America Ballpark. No run score for the Airhogs on 1 hit. They leave 2 on the base pads. And we will move to the bottom of the 7th with the score still 6-3 Airhogs. You're listening to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. Welcome back to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball. It's now the bottom of the 7th inning here in Kansas City. The Airhogs lead it 6-3 over the T-Bones in the second of this 3-game set. A new pitcher in for Grand Prairie. It is right-hander Brett Wallach. Wallach appeared in last night's game, pitching only a third of an inning, facing just 1 batter, getting the Airhogs out of a jam in the 8th inning of last night's game, in which the Airhogs won 10-7. Wallach on the season with Grand Prairie has an ERA of 4.70, a record of 3-0, and pitched a total of 15 1/3, and he will make his 15th appearance in relief tonight for Grand Prairie. A former prospect of the Chicago Cubs, Also listed as a rookie, even though he's had some time professionally. He is 25 years old, played for Daytona in 2012. Comes in relief of Bennett Whitmore, the left-handed pitcher, who threw 2 innings in relief, giving up no runs on 3 hits, no walks, and a strikeout. So Wallach, the third pitcher used by Eric Champion in the game, and he will face the 3, 4, 5 hitters in the lineup for Kansas City. It leads off with Danny Rechar, then Ray Sadler, and Brian Sabatella. Rechar tonight is 0 for 2. He drew a walk in the third inning and scored in the third as well. Rechar on the season batting .251 with Kansas City, 5 home runs and a team best 41 runs driven in. Inside and a little high on the first pitch from Brett Wallach for ball 1. Rechar, a left-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher Wallach. Rechar, a former major leaguer, 31-year-old veteran from Lehigh Acres, Florida. Windup in the 1-0 is lined foul into the screen. Rechar has made a couple of fielding errors tonight at second base. 4 total errors for the T-Bones in this game, 2 by the Airhogs. And that's what led to this very slow pace that we have in this one. Bottom of the 7th, and we're closing in on 3 hours of gameplay. Bounced foul into the backstop by Rechar, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Airhogs looking for a 3-game winning streak and trying to take this second series against the T-Bones. They took 2 out of 3 a couple weeks ago, winning the first 2 games, each of them by 5 runs, and then they lost on July 10th the series finale against Kansas City in 10 innings thanks to a walk-off sacrifice fly by the man at the plate right now, Danny Rechar. And this is hit high in the air into shallow right center. Nunez, the second baseman, is going to drift out to call for it, and he will make the grab for out number 1. Now the next batter is Ray Sadler, the right fielder. Ray Sadler tonight is 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Right-handed batter against the right-handed pitcher Brett Wallach. One out, nobody on base. Airhogs with a 3-run lead, bottom of the 7th. First pitch to Ray Sadler, inside edge of the zone there for strike 1. Ray Sadler, another former big leaguer, came out of retirement this year to play professionally. In 2011, he played for Bridgeport and started out this season in Winnipeg in the American Association. The last few seasons, he has played for the Kansas City T-Bones and has really been a fan favorite in this fan base here. That's a swing and a miss by Ray Sadler, a native of Clifton, Texas, 33-year-old veteran. 1 ball and 2 strikes with Brian Sabatella on deck. Wallach winds up and now delivers the 1-2 pitch. This is also popped up. It's into foul territory. Peterson, the catcher, is racing to see if he has a play. He does not. Bounces off of the roof of the T-Bones dugout on the first base line. Still a ball and 2 strikes against Ray Sadler. The Airhogs, after this 3-game set with the T-Bones, will have 2 more road series before their next homestand. First, a 4-game series with the Laredo Lemurs at Unitrade Stadium in Laredo, Texas. That'll be on the weekend. Then after that, the All-Star break, a couple of days off. And then Wednesday through Saturday of next week, they will go on the road to Lincoln, as that's a strikeout to Sadler, the 3rd time that he has sat down on strikes tonight. And it's the first strikeout for Brett Wallach, 2 down in the 7th. Next batter is Brian Sabatella, who has also struck out twice tonight. He is 1 for 3 with a single in the 5th. Airhogs have out-hit the T-Bones 11-7 and outscored them 6-3. They won last night 10-7, scoring 10 runs on 16 hits. That's a swing and a miss by Sabatella on the first pitch from Wallach. Brian Sabatella has been hitting pretty well against the Airhogs in the season series. 7 for 18, or 7 for 19, I should say, with 3 runs batted in. That is ball 1, just a little low to Sabatella. 2 outs and nobody on base. If Sabatella were to reach, Vladimir Frias is on deck. 1-1 pitch is on the way. Bounced on the ground to third base. Abel Nieves will field it on 1 hop and throw to first on the run. A 1-2-3 inning in relief for Brett Wallach in the 7th. And it keeps us scoreless. It keeps the T-Bones scoreless since the 3rd inning here at Community America Ballpark. The Airhogs still with a 6-3 lead after 7 innings. You're listening to Grand Prairie Airhogs Baseball.